Hello, I'm Michael Teslikas, and I'm talking today to Dr. Wallace Depew, composer of Something Special. Something Special is the name of the world's first barbershop opera. Well, Dr. Depew, the first thing that comes to mind, really the obvious question, is what made you decide to write a barbershop opera?
There are many fortunate things in regards to timing. Here we have the American bicentennial year. I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Here I become exposed to one of the greatest sounding quartets I ever heard in my life, quite by accident.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm listening to this terrific quartet called the Gentleman's Agreement, incidentally. I see a whole vista of information that would be appropriate to teaching kids. This quartet sang beautifully in tune. They sang with all the nuance you'd ever want to hear in a musical composition. They were as good, if not better, than practically any professional ensemble of that type I ever heard in my life.
So this musical group more or less inspired you to get busy on...
They made me want to know about barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
So my good friend and colleague Richard Matthey became the director of the Maumee Valley chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came back and told me how little he knows about choral directing after having been exposed to running one of those rehearsals, he said it was a great learning experience for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I poo-pooed it. I thought, it's only barbershop, anybody can do that. I tried to write in an arrangement, just as a personal favor to him, because I liked the sound of the quartet.
Uh-huh.
And the arrangement flopped. It was awful. So I sought help, and the more I worked at it, the more enthusiastic I got about it.
And the result is Something Special, the first barbershop opera ever written. Now, there's certain problems with all operas, and one of them is that as a story of the opera, the drama wants to continue, it wants to advance itself, something must happen, and at the same time, the music must go slowly, develop itself, recapitulate its themes, etc. Did you have any problem meshing the music with the story?
That's a hard question to answer. I could say yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
The story I chose was about a very American sport, boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a story about how Gentleman Jim Corbett won the heavyweight championship of the world from John L. Sullivan.
Right.
And when I was a kid, I was a boxer. I have a great fondness for the sport. And it's very American, and it was a bicentennial year, and barbershop-style harmony is probably one of the purest American art forms.
Right.
So all of them meshed together, and when I started to write about this boxing topic, the music fit to it like a glove goes in fits on a hand.
One other thing I wanted to ask you musically, I know that the barbershop tradition is an a cappella tradition, it's unaccompanied music, but at the same time the opera has a tradition of instrumental accompaniment. What made you decide to follow the the barbershop tradition, rather than the operatic?
I'd say cussedness.
You wanted to make things a little bit more difficult for yourself.
Well, when I started this interest in barbershop harmony, the headquarters in Kenosha, Wisconsin, sent Dave Stevens down to help me start a class at the university. I don't know whether you heard about that or not, but we had the very first class of barbershop harmony in the country.
University level music class.
Right.
In barbershop harmony.
And Dave Stevens came down and was superb. He helped me, he taught me individually, he carried on correspondence course with me. And mastering this was a difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing to write well.
Right.
So he said there's no such thing as a barbershop opera when I told him what I was going to do.
I'm sorry I must interrupt you, Dr. Depew. Of course, our audience knows that now there is such a thing as a barbershop opera. It happened here at Bowling Green University, composed by Dr. Wallace Depew. I'm Michael Teslikas. Thank you for joining us. Bye now.